Chama.
Well, Alex, obviously we've seen you a lot this year, so I'm curious, how's fight camp been for this preparation for this? Fighting another high-level striker like Khalil, and I guess more importantly, physically, how are you feeling after so many back-to-back fight camps for these 5-round fights?
Bom, a gente tem visto muitas vezes esse ano, né? Como é que tá esse fight camp para lutar com um trocador igual o Khalil, pelo fato de estar lutando várias vezes do ano, como é que tá o corpo?
Bom, o corpo está bem, né? Sempre tem algumas coisas, acontecem alguns imprevistos, né? Bom, acho que quando a gente está no alto nível é assim, né? As coisas são difíceis, mas eu estou num bom momento, né? Como você falou, lutando aí várias vezes, né? E com ótimos resultados da forma que acontece, isso só me motiva.
Well, body's good. Things happen sometimes here and there, but that's the price to be fighting often. But I think everything's good. We're getting great results from it.
I know even some of after your last fights, you said I might take some time off. So I'm curious, at the beginning of this year, did you think you would be this active, or did you think you would have these longer gaps between fights?
Bom, sempre tá falando aí que ano passado ainda falou que queria dar um tempo, esperar um pouquinho para lutar de novo. No começo desse ano você esperava estar lutando com tanta frequência assim, ou gostaria de ter colocado um tempinho maior entre as lutas?
Não, eu sempre quero estar lutando, né? Mas às vezes quando me faz uma pergunta assim, eu falo, pô, quero dar uma descansada agora e tal, mas eu volto para academia, começo a treinar, começo a ver a minha evolução e eu acho que eu tenho que fazer isso novamente, o mais rápido possível, e é o que acontece.
Well, usually after the fights I say that I want to take some time, give a little gap, and then I come back to the gym, I start training, and then I start seeing more evolution. I see that I just gotta keep doing this more often.
Did you think it would be Khalil, coming off of his suspension, but he was on this win streak, but he hadn't headlined a card, he hadn't fought in front of fans in a long time. Was Khalil even a possibility in your mind?
Você achava que seria o Khalil devido ao fato de ele estar vindo a suspensão e já não estar lutando um tempinho, apesar de estar vindo numa sequência de vitórias? Passou pela sua cabeça que o Khalil seria o seu próximo adversário?
Não, no momento, até o momento não, né? Eu acho que ele tinha feito uma luta, falou até meu nome, né? Mas eu falei, pô, esse cara tá um pouco longe, não tava de olho nele, mas tudo acontece, né? E a gente tem que estar preparado.
Well, no, I did not envision that. Actually, Khalil, I think he made one of his previous fight. He mentioned Alex's name, but he was far behind on the rank, so nothing that came to his mind. But you got to be prepared for everything.
I don't know if you know this, but there's been a lot of people have been fans that call you the final boss for Khalil because he's had so much success against these glory kickboxers like Dustin Jacoby and Gokhan Saki, and they view you as, the final guy for him to beat in the UFC. Khalil likes that because it's something the fans can attach to and it's a storyline. But I'm curious, do you like that narrative and do you embrace that role as the final boss for him?
Bom, alguns fãs falam que você é como se fosse o último chefão do jogo, né? Pelo fato do Khalil ter tido tanto sucesso contra outros kickboxers e colocam você como o último desafio dele nessa área, né? Ele gosta dessa narrativa e o que você acha dela?
Não, eu gosto também. É legal. Eu depois, né, eu vi esse lance, né, onde ele nocauteou o Gokhan Saki, né? E eu vi algo ali o que pode ser feito, por que foi, né? Então a gente junto com a equipe aí estudando isso, né? Mais uma luta com outro kickboxer que é o Justin Jacob, é uma luta também que eu não concordo com o resultado, né? Mas ok, ele ganhou, é isso.
Well, I enjoyed the narrative. I saw his fight with Gokhan Saki. I saw some things that you had done there and things that I studied on that fight. You won. But I saw the fight against Dustin Jacoby, and I think he did not win that fight.
What do you think fighters like Dustin, I know you thought he won, but it was a very close fight, but fighters like Gokhan Saki and Dustin, what do you think they're doing wrong against Khalil, or is it something that Khalil is taking advantage of inside the octagon?
E quando você vê a luta, por exemplo, com caras como o Dustin Jacoby ou até com o Gokhan Saki, o que você acha que eles estão fazendo errado que o Khalil está conseguindo ter sucesso com caras assim?
Aqui não dá para falar, senão ele vai ganhar o lance, né? Eu tenho coisa muito boa ali que eu posso fazer ele errar, né? Tem uns pontos assim específicos que é óbvio que eu não vou falar aqui, que são muito importantes, né? Mas uma coisa eu falo, estou muito bem preparado, né? Estou animado para essa luta.
Well, I cannot give you guys all right, but I think there's a lot of points on his game that I can make him miss, that I see a lot of mistakes and flaws there that I've been studying I can use. But all that I can say for you guys is that I'm ready to make it a great fight.
In terms of his strengths, a lot of people say like he's explosive, he's southpaw, he's quick with his hands, he has powerful ground and pound when he knocks you down. Is he any different from guys that you have already fought in the UFC?
Bom, o pessoal fala que ele é explosivo, ele é um cara rápido, né, um cara atlético, tem todas essas qualidades, né? Você acha ele um pouco diferente de outros caras que você já lutou no UFC?
Não, acho que é diferente, né? Cada um tem o seu estilo, mas eu gosto desse estilo, né? Eu gosto dessa agressividade. Quanto mais o oponente é agressivo, eu acho que para mim é melhor.
He's obviously different than the guys that I fought. Everybody's different, right? But I like that he's aggressive. I like that his style, that he fights, that going forward like that. So I think it's good.
How has it been with Sean in camp for this fight?
Como é que foi ter o Sean no campo para essa luta, Strickland?
Foi muito bom, né? Pô, foi um treino muito duro, ao mesmo tempo também muito divertido, né? Estar com ele ali. É um cara de energia muito boa, né? Às vezes as pessoas falam do cara, né? Mas com a gente ali, né? Com a minha equipe, família ali, eu posso falar para todos vocês que sempre respeitou. É um cara que, pô, a gente tem que estar com ele do nosso lado.
Well, very hard training, very good training, and person with a great heart, very nice guy. I know some people say some stuff about Sean, but around us in the family, he was very good, always respectful. Great to have him with us.
It feels like every time Alex fights, people are looking past the opponent he's facing on that weekend and talking about what his next move might be. There's always heavyweight or now middleweight. If he was to choose which is more likely for him, which way would he go, heavyweight or middleweight?
Bom, toda vez que você luta, o pessoal já está olhando depois dessa luta o que é o próximo passo, né? Se fosse poder escolher o próximo passo, foi falado do pesado, foi falado do médio, qual você escolheria?
Eu escolheria defender defender o meu cinturão, né? Porque para o peso, para baixar de peso, né? Isso tem que ser um pouquinho mais planejado, né? Para subir também tem que ser um pouco mais planejado, né? Mas para essa categoria aqui é perfeita.
I will actually choose to defend my belt. I mean, for me to go in a lower weight class, it will take some time, needs some more preparation. For me to go to a higher weight class, it also takes some more preparation. So right now, the way that it is, the light heavyweight is perfect.
He recently bumped into John Jones at the Noche show. Did seeing him and being around him physically maybe think like, oh, I'd rather train with this guy than fight this guy? Or did seeing him there make him think, oh, this would have been a fantastic fight if John was not retiring?
Bom, você foi recentemente visto com o John Jones no UFC Note, né? Fala pra gente, estando com o John Jones lá, te deu uma sensação de, pô, eu quero treinar com esse cara, né? Ou então, tipo, pô, seria uma luta fantástica se eu pudesse lutar com esse cara?
Para ser sincero, eu só pensei nos treinos ali mesmo, né? Como ele já deixou até bem claro aí para todo mundo, né? Que ele iria fazer mais uma luta, iria se aposentar, né? E eu ainda não faço parte desse peso, né? Então, pô, estaria longe de estar fazendo essa luta com ele. Mas com certeza, eu quero aprender algo, né? Um cara com essa grande experiência, com certeza, da forma que eu sempre venho me comportando, com a mente aberta, né? Com certeza eu vou aproveitar algo ali, é o que eu quero fazer.
Well, I was only thinking about training because he expressed that he said that his next fight might be his last fight. So I want to go over there and learn a little bit from him. You know what I mean? I'm a guy that have an open mind, and I think it'll be great.
How often does Glover Teixeira get mistaken for Junior Dos Santos?
Com frequência, o pessoal confunde o Glover com o Cigano.
Pô, vi 2 vezes. Eu só vi 2 vezes só, mas, pô, não é combinado, não. Os caras chegam assim e falam, eu falo, caramba.
It's definitely not staged, but I only saw it twice, but people mistaken them.
Hey, Alex, over here. You fought here last year, but it seems like this time around you spent a lot of time training in our mountains and hitting our local gyms. What's been your impression of Salt Lake during the lead-up to this fight?
Bom, você lutou aqui ano passado, né? Mas esse ano passou mais tempo. A gente viu na montanha, a gente viu treinos nas academias locais aqui de Salt Lake City. O que você tem a dizer dessa cidade aqui? Como é que está sendo para você?
Bom, a gente está nas montanhas, né? A gente tem uma casa ali, né? A gente está com um grupo ali de 10 pessoas, mais ou menos. O passeio que a gente deu foi nessa região mesmo, não aqui para baixo, né? Então, para ser sincero, a gente não conheceu nada aqui. A gente está bem focado para essa luta aí. A gente evita de sair um pouco, a gente fica mais na casa ali, né? É isso. Então, é difícil falar um pouco se você não conhece.
It's hard to say because honestly, we got a big house in the mountain. We are around 10 people there, but we are super focused on the camp, trying to stay around there, trying to stay home. We did went to the mountains a little bit, and besides training, so it's hard to put an impression.
Mas onde a gente tá, pô, é muito bonito, né? Ali é um outro visual da onde a gente vem, de Canérica, que muito, sabe, pô, muitas pedras ali, coisa linda. Então eu gosto disso, meio na natureza, fazer os treinos ali onde a gente estava fazendo, as corridas, para mim está sendo perfeito.
But it's a beautiful landscape. It's different than Connecticut, so I enjoy being in the mountain. I enjoy doing the trains that we are doing. It's a beautiful place here.
Awesome. And this will be your 4th fight in less than a year. What motivates you to be so incredibly active and putting in all the training that you do?
Bom, e essa vai ser a sua 4ª luta em menos de um ano. O que te motiva a ser um cara tão ativo e estar sempre buscando defender o cinturão, assim, lutando?
O que me motiva é, todos os benefícios que eu tenho, né, em poder ajudar minha família, né, isso para mim é muito importante, né, esse sempre foi o meu sonho, né, poder ajudar o meu pessoal e com certeza, com o trabalho que a gente vem fazendo, eu acho que eu tenho uma história muito bacana, assim, muito bonita, onde eu posso estar motivando as pessoas e, com todo esse sucesso, isso eu consigo mostrar para eles.
Well, what motivates me is the benefits that comes with being a champ, right? Is everything that I get and I can provide better for my family, but also to be able to tell my story and to motivate people with everything that I do.
Shama.
Hey, Alex. I'm just curious, after this fight was announced, a lot of people thought that Khalil did not deserve to fight you. I'm just curious if you agree with that. Do you think he's done enough to fight you, or do you think that the fans were correct that he doesn't deserve to fight you?
Quando essa luta foi anunciada, muitos fãs não concordaram e falaram que o Khalil não merecia estar lutando pelo cinturão. Você concorda que ele merece? O que você acha da situação?
Eu acho que ele merece. Foi da mesma forma que aconteceu comigo. A gente vê, né, às vezes, pessoa pulando ali o ranking, né? Foi o que aconteceu comigo também, né? E hoje eu sou campeão. Então, eu provei que eu não sou uma enganação. Eu fui ali, me colocaram à frente de muitas pessoas, eu bati em quem eu tinha que bater e fui campeão, né? Então, eu acho que estão fazendo a mesma coisa com ele. Vai ser uma luta muito boa, né? E eu acho que tá tudo certo.
No, he does deserve, you know what I mean, same happened with me, you know what I mean, got kind of jumped on the rankings, but it's due to the work that he been put on. I put the work like that too, keep beating some guys, and then the opportunity presented.
Thank you.
Alex, right back here. Being from Connecticut myself, man, I've had the opportunity to interview a lot of the guys at the gym. Every single time they tell me about the inspiration, the mentoring effect, the leadership that you provide to them in the gym. What does it mean to you to be a guy who has a whole stable of younger fighters that are constantly looking up to him?
Bom, ele também é de Canérica, né? Sabe que você é um cara que está motivando, está sempre aí inspirando essa galera local, esses lutadores locais de lá também. O que significa para você estar inspirando essa galera e estar sendo um exemplo para o pessoal que está subindo aí?
Não, para mim significa muito, né? Igual eu estava um mês atrás, estava no Brasil, né? E sempre visitando o meu pessoal, onde eu nasci. Né, e as condições assim não são boas, e eu vivia isso, né? Então eu quero tentar motivar essas pessoas, né, de alguma maneira. E a gente sabe da grandeza do UFC, né? Não vai ficar só ali no meu bairro onde eu nasci, isso vai mostrar para o mundo. Então acho que hoje eu sou uma motivação, uma inspiração para essas pessoas. Então é por isso que isso é importante para mim.
No, this is really important to me, not only there, but also in general. Like a month ago, I was in Brazil, and I see the inspiration that I cause on people that are trying to get up from the bottom, right? And I think it's really important for me to be able to motivate these people.
Absolutely. And I know your sister, I heard she has a big fight out here next week. And I wanted to ask you, are you going to be staying in Salt Lake City for an extra week? And how excited are you to see her competing in a pit?
Bom, já ficamos sabendo, né, que a Aline vai lutar semana que vem, sua irmã. E você vai ficar aqui uma semana a mais para ficar na luta dele? E como é que você está já visualizando, como é que você acha dessa luta dela que vai ser, né, naquele domo?
Bom, um pouco diferente, né? Tá lutando ali, eu não sei qual que é a sensação. É um pouco diferente de octógono, de ringue, né? Mas ela tá bem preparada, né? Tá também treinando na altitude, vai ter um pouco até, mas uma semana a mais do que eu aí para a luta. Eu estaria 3 semanas e ela vai estar 4 semanas, então... hoje mesmo fez sparring, fez 4 rounds de sparring, vai lutar 3 rounds, então fez um a mais ali, porque pode ter, nas regras, né, do Karate Combat, pode ter um round extra. Então é isso, a gente está treinando certo, fazendo tudo da melhor maneira.
Yes, definitely. It's going to be a little different, right? Different feeling. I don't know because it's not fighting on a ring or on a cage, but she's ready. She's very good prepared for it. I actually stay here 3 weeks. She's going to fight a week after me, so it's going to be 4 weeks of training on the elevation. And she's good. Today she did 4 rounds of sparring. The fight's at 3 rounds only, so I think she's ready for it.
And last from me, I saw on Instagram a couple days ago you mentioned that maybe down the line there might be a nicotine pouch with your name on it. We know how much you like the Zins and stuff like that. Is that another way that you see yourself connecting with the fans down the road?
Pô, e também você anunciou que talvez vai ter com o seu próprio saquinho de nicotina. Você é um cara que gosta muito do Zin, né? Isso também é outra maneira de você estar podendo conectar com seus fãs?
Isso aqui eu uso mais para treinar. Antes do treino ali, eu gosto de fazer isso para deixar eu mais focado. Então, é isso. É isso.
Well, I think there's a way for me to stay a little more focused because I use before training, so it's pretty much it. E como você tinha anunciado também, você acha que você vai ter o seu, em vez de ter o Zin?
Não sei. Não sei. De repente, se vier uma proposta do Zinho aí, a gente pode fechar algo.
I don't know yet, but also if Zin want to throw an offer, we can close some deal.
Hola, Alex. On Tuesday, your ex-rival from kickboxing, Artem Vakhitov, will fight for his first UFC contract in the Dana White Contender Series. So how do you think does he has potential to succeed in your division? And are you looking forward to face him for the 3rd time now in UFC cage?
Bom, o seu ex-rival Artem Vakhitov vai lutar terça-feira no Contender, né? Como é que você acha que pode ser o potencial dele no MMA? E se talvez você já visualiza uma terceira luta entre vocês dois na divisão meio pesada do UFC?
No MMA eu não sei. Depois que eu tô dentro do UFC, eu meio que parei um pouco assim, de acompanhar o kickbox. Se fosse kickbox, eu diria que seria talvez o campeão aí, próximo campeão. Mas MMA não dá pra saber, não. Então, como não tô acompanhando, difícil responder isso.
E ele perguntou se você acha que um dia eu vou lutar com ele no UFC.
Se eu lutar, eu acho muito difícil.
Well, I stopped following kickboxing, so I kind of don't know how he's doing, right? So I don't know what his potential, but I think fighting me in the UFC at this point I think will be hard.
É que as pessoas às vezes confundem um pouco. Vê a minha história com a do Adesanya, né? Eles acham que pode fazer a mesma coisa. Cara, vê tudo que aconteceu comigo e com a Adesanya, pra gente ter essa história, né, aqui dentro do UFC. As pessoas acham que porque um ganhou de mim lá não sei aonde, o outro fez isso, vai chegar aqui e vai acontecer a mesma coisa que aconteceu comigo e com a Adesanya. Esses caras não são eu, eles não são o Adesanya, são diferentes.
Well, people get mistaken sometimes, think that it's just easy to make a story like I did with Israel Adesanya, guys that, beat me on a fight like long ago, and they think they just come here and make the same story. Bro, they are not me. They are not Israel Adesanya. Look at the whole story behind that to get to there.
Obrigado.
Chama.
Well, Khalil, how different does this fight week feel for you? Or does it feel different?
It doesn't feel too much different. I think the only thing that really feels different is being in a ballroom versus being at the Apex.
What about fight week? Did it feel, fight camp, did that feel different for you? Did you do anything special?
Yeah, special in different ways. I just think the energy of fight camp was a bit different. We finally got to start to prepare for a title fight. I think vibes were really high in training camp. A lot of smiles, a lot of good times, a lot of enjoying the preparation and, just positivity, really, yeah.
Talk to me about that moment you got the phone call.
Wow. I was having one of the roughest days of my life. I was in the middle of some legal stuff, and my phone rang, and it was the UFC. And they're like, "Hey, how's your day going?" And I said, "Terrible. What's going on?" And they're like, "Well, hope this makes your day a little bit better. You're going to be fighting Alex October 5th in Salt Lake City." And my day turned around within the matter of seconds. And yeah, it was just all smiles from that moment on.
When you saw them calling, was it like a gut, like, oh no, what's
Yeah,
wrong?
I was like, come on. Like, this is the last thing that I was expecting. Going through what I was going through, and it was gut-wrenching, but it ended up being for the best. Yeah.
I know you've talked before about, people online, what people say online, haters and that sort of thing. And obviously there was some backlash after the announcement, but were you able to kind of spin it in a positive way? Almost like this is motivation, everyone's counting me out, or did you not listen to it at all?
I didn't pay attention. I got no space. I got no time for other people's opinions. I mean, like, look, I'm fighting for the title on Saturday, and as soon as I got the news, that was all that I've been focused on. So if it upsets people in this, like, it's none of my business. My business is to do, what the UFC called me to do. So everyone's going to have opinions even after this, but I can't let it be my concern.
I know, going back to you on the regional circuit and you fighting and just starting your career, I imagine you thought about this moment. Does it live up to the way you kind of imagined it all those years?
I didn't expect it happening the way that it did, right? It's crazy how everything unfolded. I would say I'm happy that I'm in the position that I'm in right now with this title fight coming up. What I mean is, like, I'm happy that I got this call and this opportunity, and I'm prepared for it, and I feel it. Like, it doesn't feel like a lucky thing, and I didn't have to scrounge and get ready. Like, I've been prepared for this. I've been saying it. I've been working for it, and now it's here.
What do you expect in there?
What do I expect in there? I expect to become the champion, 100%.
How do you see yourself matching up against him? I know obviously you're going in with confidence, but what kind of fight are you expecting from him?
It's really hard to say. I'm not expecting a certain type of fight. I'm going in there focused. I'm going in there determined, aware. A lot of this camp and a lot of my coaching and mentorship and stuff is really just been about me and focusing on me. I can't get lost in the lights of everything else. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm prepared for it all.
Have you seen him this fight week at all?
Not yet.
Are you excited to see him for the first time?
Excited is not the word to use. But I know it's bound to happen. And when it does, I mean, it happens. It's not really like a feeling of excitement. It's like, it's inevitable. So when it happens, however I feel inside is how I feel.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil, other side. I don't know if you saw, but there was a clip going around yesterday of Anderson Silva in a media scrum in 2015 joking about how you knocked him out in training camp. And then he circled back and he said, I think you were 2-0 at the time, and he said that you were going to be a future champion all the way back in 2015. He was saying this. So I know you've envisioned, like, getting the belt and everything, but do you just think of that time too, and, like, people like Anderson have been calling you a future champ for 10 years at this point?
I think about those moments a lot, especially when those moments of doubt creep in, like self-doubt. I think we all deal with that a little bit, especially when we're going, after big things. And I remember that, people like Anderson have been saying this when I only had 2 fights. There was something that they saw being champions themselves, So, I think about it. I appreciate those moments. I love that they're out there and they're a part of my story, so that when I do become champion, it's just like it just all aligns,
What's it like when, because like it's one thing to have like your coach or your training partner say future champion, but have a guy like Anderson Silva say you're going to be a future champion at 2-0, 3-0. Did you feel pressure at some point? Like, how do you compartmentalize a guy of that stature saying that to you so early in your career?
I don't think it was pressure that I felt. It was just love. Like when I met Anderson and when he took me in, and the relationship that we have and the relationship that we just like built and developed, it just feels good. It you know, obviously he's done what he's done, and he's always going to be my all-time favorite fighter. I aspire to have a career like his, and he'll always be like a huge source of inspiration for me, especially in the MMA world. But when I hear something like that from him, it just feels like love, you know. Like he's treated me like a brother, like a little brother, and that's cool. So, yeah, man, that's the best I could say. Yeah.
And then, like, just kind of looking at your story, because, like, we've been covering you for so long, and, like, you did your post-fight interview in the Apex, and you say, like, you can use me, like, I don't want to run from this or hide from this, and then your countdown came out, and I bet there's a ton of new fans that had never seen you fight or didn't know your story or about your father and everything. Did you kind of see, like, this bump up in, like, not interest, but, like, people reaching out to you that maybe had never seen you fight or didn't know your story? They were just kind of, they only watch pay-per-views, and that's it, but now they've discovered who you are.
I think, actually, after my last fight with Anthony Smith, there's been a big influx of new fans and people, and that's been really cool, and it's been really motivating. I think, I mean, it's almost every day that I go somewhere now in Vegas, grocery store, mall, wherever I go, at least one person, you know, will come up to me and say like, oh, I know who you are, or they'll share with me, you know, maybe a difference that I've made for them or something. So since the Anthony Smith fight, I've seen a huge influx. With this fight camp and the amount of media and stuff that's happened, I've been off my phone, so I haven't really, and I've been up in the mountains for 10 days now, so I haven't seen anybody, but I'd imagine that now that more people have heard, that hopefully they start reaching out, and yeah, we make a difference.
And then looking at this actual fight, you touched upon it really briefly when we spoke to you at the red carpet for the Hall of Fame, but fans kind of view Alex as like the final boss for, you know, because you beat Gokhan Saki, you beat Dustin Jacoby, and he's like the end goal for these glory kickboxers coming in. Do you kind of like that narrative? Is it like, or is this a fun thing for fans to kind of cue in on, or do you just kind of put that off to the side?
I think it's kind of cool. Yeah, that's definitely a fun way to look at it, you know, especially from a fan standpoint. If they see Alex as the final boss, and I get to go and take my shot at the final boss. You know, I think it's really cool. I think it adds excitement. It adds, you know, interest and anticipation. So yeah, I'd like to, you know, entertain it.
And then just two more quick ones. His last few fights, people have obviously been heavily favoring Alex, but then like in the build up to this, like Chael Sonnen says you're going to whoop Alex. Kamaru Usman thinks you're going to shock the world. Israel is obviously siding with Alex, but it seems a lot more 50-50 in terms of your fellow fighters, not fans and pundits. So I guess, do you think they're just tired of seeing Alex at the top, or do you think this is generally like they see your skill set and they go, you're the guy that can beat Alex?
I mean, I think that it could be a mixture of both, but I think the guys who ride for me. The guys who don't, they don't believe in me. They don't like me for some reason. They don't want me to succeed. I mean, there's just like, there's always a little bit of hate from somewhere. I don't expect everybody to like me. I don't expect everybody to ride for me. But the people who do, man, I love them to death. I support, you know, like I appreciate the people who believe in me, who encourage me to go in there and to do my thing and to be my best. Everybody else, like, if you don't believe in me, whatever, like, I'm here to do my job, and I believe in myself as well. So,
last one for me. What do you make of Alex bringing in Sean Strickland at the end of this camp to kind of, you know, put the pressure on him in there? And he said he's like a good training camp to prep for you.
It's cool. Like, sweet. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, like, I saw it and I was like, cool. Like, honestly, the last interaction that I had with Sean Strickland was at the UFC PI. It was literally the day after Dan Ige stepped in that fight, like 3 hours, 4 hours notice or something like that. And I was going into the PI. I saw Dan Ige. I walked right up to him, gave him his props for just having balls of steel for, just going in there like on such short notice. And out of the blue, Sean Strickland come up to me. He approached me, and he just said, like, Khalil, I apologize. I'm a dumbass. I actually kind of like you. I think you're liberal, but, but overall, I like you or I respect you. Something along those lines. So what I took it as is like, almost like squashing whatever beef. You know what I mean? Or just like saying like, look, dude, I am who I am. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but I'm coming here to personally shake your hand, tell you, I think you're a liberal, but, to a certain level, I respect you. You know what I mean? It was like that. So I took it as like, okay, you're coming here to kind of make the peace. And I left it at that. So now anything moving forward, like anything that's said or whatever, I got that stored in my memory bank. So I know that there's really no issue. It's really just talk, and I won't concern myself with it, Yeah.
Khalil, could you give us some insight into this super secret move that you've got cooking up?
It's a super secret.
I'm excited to see it, though. Do you think you can pull it off?
It's honestly like one of those things that it presents itself, I can't go searching for it. I can't go hunting for it. It's when the opportunity comes, if it's there, if it's forced, it won't necessarily work. Like the piece has got to be there. So it's possible. It's possible to happen against anyone. Yeah.
I remember when Demetrius Johnson did his flying armbar and people dubbed it the mousetrap. Do you have a name for this move, or are you going to have to debut that after you pull it off?
Yeah, I'd have to name it after I pull it off, for sure.
Speaking of techniques and unique techniques, Alex Pereira seems to have this sort of special way to check kicks, right? He sort of gets his whole leg out of the way. Is that something that you've noticed in his fights, or is that something that you sort of can't really see until you're in there and feel it for yourself?
Yeah, I didn't notice anything. I mean, I think I saw something like checking the kick with like the back foot and checking the kick like just by lifting the leg back. But I really don't pay too much attention to those type of things. When I think it's very different when you're in the cage and when it's live and when it's like when there's a title on the line and when there's power coming at you. It's a different scenario, so I try not to get too caught up into things that maybe I see online or maybe I hear about, because fighting is very instinctive and intuitive, and from my perspective. So
this is a sport about momentum, right? Like guys get momentum and they start pulling off great things, great victories quickly in a row. But do you think for Alex, right, he's basically been untouchable. He's knocking out all these people in spectacular fashion. Do you think there could be a point where momentum parlays itself into overconfidence and perhaps he comes in, he's like, oh, I'm fighting a kickboxer. I'm amazing at kickboxing. I can just knock this guy out. And do you think there's a chance that maybe he could come into fights overconfident and that's something you could exploit?
I'd like to believe that he's not going to come in overconfident. That's what I'd like to believe. I'd like to believe that he's coming in his very best. I know that momentum can be a great thing. I know that momentum can allow us to have a certain type of confidence, which can be good. But I think the both of us on each side know what we're up against.
Khalil, right over here in the back, sorry.
Hey.
I saw in a video how you mentioned that at one point you were 300 pounds depressed and smoking cigarettes. Fast forward to now, man, you have the opportunity to challenge for UFC. championship against the guy who some consider one of the best to ever do it. When you take a look back and think about, how far you've come since that time, how proud does it make you of yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely, I've come a long way. I think that it's now becoming more like known to the public on what my origins were when I started. But that person that I was is so far behind now. I can look back and I can see who I was and what I was going through. I really focus on the road that's been in between that person and where I am now. I'm very happy that I overcome all of the challenges, even past that, the other ones that are in between. I'm proud of myself for sticking it through. I'm grateful for my team, my coaches, my family, everybody who I keep near me. Like, that's right now, like, one of the most important things is who I've surrounded myself with and the people who have held me accountable. But it's major. And in a way, like, this is only the beginning. Like, I understand that I'm getting ready to fight for a title. This is the height of my career, but I think as far as personal growth and who I'm becoming and will become as a man, this is only the beginning.
Fair enough. And last but not least, man, I have to mention the prank that we saw on Embedded with the Bigfoot outfit.
Did you guys like that one?
Absolutely. Do you think that this might be one of the highlights of, your UFC career and fight weeks? Like, that had to be something that you probably remember, forever.
Yeah, I think we'll remember it for a very long time. It was just a good moment to have. Like I said, we've been up here in the mountains for a while. Every day has been hard work. There wasn't actually like a lot of fun and games going on. But we figured we'd end the week with something like that. I'm glad everybody had fun. I'm glad it actually worked and Daryl was convinced. That was the highlight, and just going and seeing on Embedded, like just seeing his eyes, and that was good. So one of the highlights, I'll always remember it, and I think it might be the beginning of maybe a series of fight camp pranks.
Thank you, man. I just thought that, like, the area you did it in couldn't have been any more perfect. The little trail, then down below you got the Bigfoot running. That was perfect, man.
Yeah, and it was actually a workout as well, because we had to go down this hill about a quarter mile, but we're all the way up in Park City. So, running back uphill, incline, quarter mile sprint, it ain't easy. Shout out to the Embedded camera guy for keeping up with us. Yeah.
Khalil, I wanted to circle back around a couple times. You mentioned kind of embedding yourselves up in the mountains and training in Park City and whatnot. Did you spend a little extra time trying to get altitude adjusted and that kind of thing? Is that sort of what you're referring to, or?
Yeah, I came up early. I wanted to make sure that I was as prepared as I can be. So we came up very early, and actually my first time really coming down from the mountain is to come here to do check-in, to do media. But we've been up there. We've been training up there. We've been running every day. We've been, grappling, doing everything up there, and it's beautiful. This is, I think, Salt Lake City and Park City, and it's in my top 10 favorite places in the world, and I've been a lot of places. But this place is beautiful.
So it's safe to assume they're treating you pretty well in Park City and in Salt Lake, the little bit you've been out then?
Man, the place is amazing. We had a fun time at the Utah Hockey Club game, super welcoming, great crowd, great team. They came out strong even in just like an exhibition game. Fans have been really supportive, amazing coffee shops, great food. I love to ski, so like going and seeing Park City, and like it's not snowing yet, but obviously like just seeing the potential, just like ski slopes and what's out there. I'm a fan. I'll be back multiple times.
Khalil, over here on your left. Now that we're actually here, we're just a few days away from this fight. We can only imagine the emotions that come with finally getting a shot after years of training and dedication. Are you avoiding these emotions and trying to stay focused, or are you taking it all in?
I'm taking everything in, whether it's emotions or happiness. Like I'm just taking it all in. Emotions or lack of emotion, you know, I think I'm embracing the moment. I'm just trying to stay positive and stay grateful and happy. I mean, it's not every day that I get to headline a pay-per-view and fighting for a title. So I make sure that every day when I wake up, in the middle of the day and when I go to bed, I'm just grateful for the moments. Grateful for where I'm at. You know, it's an appreciation thing. And I think that's what's helping me to kind of like combat the emotions or put too much pressure on myself. I'm just happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to know that I'm prepared. I thank my coaches and my team for like just the dedication, you know. So there's just a lot of positivity around all of this, and I think that's what's helping me to kind of combat any, you know, nerves and all that stuff. They'll come when they come. I know they'll be there, but like now in the moment and up until now, everything, it's just been trying to just stay positive and keep my heart like full.
Nice. And real quick, I don't know if you saw the other day, Alex Pereira dared you to publicly promise a portion of your fight purse to charity if you shoot for a takedown. Is that something you're entertaining a lot? I know you don't even shoot for takedowns.
I mean, I would rather just publicly promise to donate a portion of my winnings to charity regardless of a takedown or not. I'd rather do that than, you know what I mean? I'm not a betting guy. I don't bet. I don't really like support it, you know? But if it's like a challenge in a way to like, to show or to show that I will donate to a positive cause or to a charity, I don't need to say that I won't shoot for a takedown. I'll just do that flat off. If that's what he's asking me to do, hey, I want you to donate to charity. Okay, that's what I'll do. Am I going to shoot for a takedown? I don't plan to. I've said this multiple times. It's not in my plans. But if it happens, it happens. You know, it is MMA. The guy hits me with something, and I'm like, I have to save myself. Okay, cool. But, like, my game plan is not to go in there and become a D1 wrestler or, you know, everybody who watched me knows. That's kind of where this – I want to actually kind of say that to, I guess, set the record straight because there's been a lot of talk around this takedown and this and that. The main thing that I was trying to say, my whole career, everyone has known me for pretty much my striking and my striking style. What I was trying to say is don't expect anything different just because it's a title fight and just because I'm going against Alex, who's also a striker. Don't expect anything different. Expect me. Expect who you've always seen. Now, if something happens, I get damaged, and there's no choice but to, you know, shoot a takedown. Okay, maybe that happens, but that's my game plan and who I am hasn't changed. I'm not a wrestler, so don't expect me to go in there diving for legs for 5 rounds. That's kind of the main thing. But then it turned into like this challenge and this and that. No. So I will, no matter what, takedown or not, I'll donate a portion of my winnings to a charity in Las Vegas because that's my home and that's where I plan to bring the belt back home to. And there are a lot of places there that, or a lot of like foundations and stuff there that could use help. So challenge accepted.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.